Hey guys, how you going? Hope you're all doing very well. This evening I'm going to be doing yet another movie review for you all. This movie is a horror film from the United States, English language, released in the year 2024, directed by Curry Barker, and this film is called Milk and Cereal. So Milk and Cereal is about this mega popular YouTube prank channel. They do outrageous pranks and they're trying to outdo the last one. And so this particular idea backfires horribly. There are consequences that lead them down a very dark path, and whether or not they pass the point of no return is something you're going to have to find out for yourself, because that's as far as I'm going with my synopsis. Now my thoughts on Milk and Cereal. This movie has been doing the rounds on the internet very recently. A lot of people are saying how disturbing it is, and a lot of people are saying how much of a future Curry Barker has as a director. A lot of people are saying that this is a micro-string budget horror film and how impressive it was for the money that it had to spend. And it's free on YouTube, and so if you don't know where to watch this movie, that's exactly where you can. So you're not risking anything by watching it. So I thought, alright, well, I'm a massive found footage horror fan. Now I have to stress, if you are not a found footage horror fan and you complain about shaky cam and yet another found footage horror film, then this is a movie that's not going to win you over. I have a gripe with a lot of criticism of found footage where people say, oh, it's just a shaky cam, someone who can't hold the camera properly. But you know exactly what you're getting yourself in for. It's like holding your hand under a hot water tap and complaining that you get burnt. Well, you knew that it was hot, and so why are you complaining that it's hurt? And so that's the same sort of thing with that criticism of found footage. Now, you don't have to like found footage, but if you're going to criticise what found footage is all about, going into it knowing it's a found footage horror film, then I just think as though that's very silly, and it's not a real credible sort of critique of a horror film of this nature. And so if you don't like that kind of thing, it's definitely not for you. But for me, I'm a massive found footage horror fan, and I was hoping that this is going to impress me as much as a lot of micro-string budget horror films have in the past very recently for me. So I had my fingers crossed that Milk and Cereal will be something that was going to blow me away. But unfortunately, at the end of the day, I'm not getting on the bandwagon of everyone who loves this film, but I will say that there are sporadic moments of brilliance that indicates that this director has a very, very bright future in the horror genre. This is a film that actually gets quite creepy in the first quarter. And there's something that really surprised me, is that how competently this movie is actually made. The acting, I thought, was actually quite decent, and I thought the script and the interactions between these characters for the first quarter, I thought was fantastic. And so it really sucked me in. It actually made me feel as though I was actually investing all my time in what was going on. So the movie has a platform that has a very solid foundation. I thought, alright, well, where is Curry Barker going to take us on this journey? So it's a movie that goes for an hour, and unfortunately that is the major issue I have with the movie. But there are moments sporadically that are thrown into this film that I thought that was actually an indication of a very bright future and the amount of potential that Curry Barker has as a director. But as I said, the issue with this movie is that it goes for an hour, and the movie tries way too much for its own good, and I just didn't buy it. I just didn't believe anything that was going on. Therefore, I just disconnected myself from the situation. And so for an hour, a horror movie to go to start feeling as though it's dragging and outstaying its welcome, that's ultimately the issue that I had, is that you're forced to believe something that's going on because you're seeing it. It's not because you're feeling it. And if you don't feel something in a horror film, it doesn't scare you as much as it really should. And so I thought the movie was just throwing twist and twist and twist, and I just thought as though if it was much more simplistic and it wasn't trying to be so ambitious. Now, ambition is good for a director, but too much ambition can be a bad thing, especially in an hour-long movie where it has so many ideas but not enough time to really expand on those ideas. And because it doesn't expand on those ideas, it doesn't come across as believable. And this is where it takes you by surprise. There are twists and turns that you don't see coming because they're so far out of left field, and you don't really buy into it as far as emotion is concerned. So the whole film has that idea that this is very extravagant, it's very ambitious, it's typical of a very young director, but unfortunately it just has to have more time to flesh out these really interesting ideas. And those sporadic moments of brilliance will start to become more consistent, and you'll start to get an overall more satisfying experience. So by the end of the movie, I just checked out. I didn't really care what was going on, and because you don't believe what's going on, I just couldn't really get into it as much as I wanted to. The first quarter of this movie, I thought, had a really eerie vibe to it. But when the twists and turns come, it started to get a little bit too fancy for its own good, and I just started to disconnect myself from the situation. And as far as a horror film concerned, that's something that you don't want. So it is an indication that this director has a massive future in horror, but unfortunately, as I said, a little bit too ambitious for its own good. But hey, it's free on YouTube, so you're not really risking anything by watching it. So go out there, watch it yourself, and if you want to come back and share your opinions, please feel free. But for me, I'm not getting on the bandwagon of everyone loving this movie. I can appreciate the moments that the movie had, but overall I just felt as though it was trying way too much and it bit off more than it could chew. So overall, for Milk and Cereal, going to give this one 2.5 stars. Still wasn't terrible. Go out there and see it. Alright guys, that's it for my review. Hope you enjoyed it. Till next time, keep watching movies, and I'll see you later. Bye.